How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge and I am host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Now, this is the final episode this week whereby I've taken suggestions from my audience on Instagram with regards to what they wanted to hear from the podcast. And today's suggestion was a roadmap from 0 to 10,000 followers on Instagram. So I thought there would be no better way than to talk through how I went from 0 to 10k followers, the steps and the mindset I had going through the different stages so that I could reach that milestone that pretty much everyone is looking to reach on the platform. First you've got 100, then you've got 1,000, and then it's 10k, and then it's 100k, but we're only going from 0 to 10k today. So without any further ado, let's just dive straight into the tips. So when it comes to actually getting to 10k, I feel as if you have to break it up into two separate sections. You have 0 to 1,000, then you have 1,000 to 10,000. The first 1,000 will be the hardest. They will take the longest period of time. They will be the most frustrating, but it will be the most rewarding out of all of the milestones you actually reach. So when it comes to 0 to 1,000 followers, this is pretty much your experimentation phase. This is where you have the opportunity to test a lot of different styles, a lot of different content ideas, a lot of different interactions. So number one, you can find out what works best, but you can also find out what you actually enjoy doing. Because this is something that you've got to do long term. If you ever want to reach these bigger milestones of 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, it takes consistency and a lot of time to get there. So you're going to have to keep this up over that extended period of time to ever reach those milestones. So if you can't decide on something initially that you do enjoy, that you will be able to keep up, then you will never be able to post consistently over an extended period of time so that you continue to reach these milestones that you set yourself. So the experimentation phase is really, really important. You aren't going to be perfect. I've left all of my content from day one on my Instagram page. You can go back to the very, very beginning, and my original posts were awful. And unless you are a designer or you've had previous experience on other platforms, it's likely that your content is going to be rubbish at first as well. And that's completely okay because nobody expects you to be perfect from the get-go. But this is all part of your journey, so you can't be embarrassed by it. Posting rubbish content is better than posting no content at all, because I hate to say it and because it's really cheesy, but practice does make perfect. People say quality over quantity, but I believe quantity breeds quality. The more you create, the better you're going to become. The better you become, the higher the quality your content is going to be, but you're still going to continue to produce a high quantity. So you will then still be creating a large quantity, but because you've been doing it over an extended period of time, they will then all be high quality. So it's not necessarily a case of quality over quantity. In my personal opinion, it's quantity breeds quality. So keep producing this content on a daily basis and it will get better over time, very quickly, because you will find out what works, what doesn't, and then you can recycle the content that does work, push aside what doesn't, and you'll see the snowball starting to roll. But that 0 to 1k is this experimentation phase. Find out what you like to create. Find out what works. Find out what doesn't work. Stop creating the stuff that doesn't. Double down on what does. And then when you do reach that 1k mark, that's when you can begin to shift focus to producing the higher quality content, because you now know what works. You've analyzed the content you've created, you know your numbers, and you know then the steps you need to take to continue with that momentum and keep that growth to get to that next milestone. So that's the sort of perspective you need to have from the content side when it comes to 0 to 1k. But in my opinion, that early stage, you should prioritize engagement over the content you are producing. There is no point in creating all of this incredible content when nobody's going to be consuming it because nobody knows who you are. When you first create an account on Instagram, you are a nobody. Unless you are well known on another platform such as YouTube and you can instantly transfer a following over, nobody's going to know who you are. And the algorithm isn't going to know who you are. So you need to start associating yourself with a community of like-minded creators. And the only way you're going to be able to do this is through engagement with these other creators, commenting on their posts, DMing, interacting in their lives, replying to their stories. Because over time you will then become known within that community and embed yourself with this group of creators. And that's when their followers will see you, they will see you, people will begin looking at your content and going, oh, that's pretty good, I'm going to follow them as well. But now the algorithm is also going to be able to associate your account with these creators, and you'll be sort of pulled within this group. So when it looks at your hashtags, when it's promoting you onto the explore page, when it's suggesting you on the suggested for you tab, it knows who to associate you with, so it knows who to push your content to and who to suggest you to. But that all comes with time and through engagement. Without that engagement, the algorithm wouldn't know anything and nobody would know who you are, because it's unlikely that people will just stumble across your content, because the algorithm isn't pushing your content to anyone because it doesn't know what community you're a part of or what you create content on. So these early stages need to be very engagement focused. Get part of this community, get known, interact with these bigger creators. If you need an engagement strategy, I have actually recorded a podcast episode dedicated to engagement strategies. I have one that is simply, if you don't have enough time, a 1 hour engagement strategy. But I also have another podcast episode where I talk through 3 of my favorite engagement strategies, whereby if you have a little bit more time, you could implement one of those. So if you haven't heard them already, make sure you go back and check them out so that you will then have a solid engagement strategy for that time period. Now you might be thinking, oh, okay, but Ethan, what's a realistic time frame? How long is it before I can expect to reach 1,000 followers? With my content strategy, so I was posting every single day and I was engaging for probably about 2 to 3 hours a day, I personally reached 1,000 followers on day 30. So I would say a realistic time frame is probably 30 to 60 days, depending on how much time and effort you put in. Some people achieve it a lot quicker. Some people achieve it a lot slower. Some may achieve it at the exact same time frame. But if you're looking for an expected realistic amount, I would say between the 30 and 60 days, assuming that you are posting every single day and that you are keeping up with your engagement strategy. Because if you lay off and you only post 2 pieces of content a week and you only engage for 10, 20 minutes a day, it will take a lot longer. So there is a direct correlation between the amount of work you are putting in to the output you are receiving with regards to growing your audience. So if you want to grow quicker, engage more, post more. If you want to grow slower, don't post as much, don't engage as much. You will see that direct correlation. The more effort you put in, the more you will get out of it. So from 0 to 1K, your engagement strategy is going to take priority. Now, the next stage, in my opinion, is 1 to 10K. Those first 1,000 will be the hardest to reach. But now you've reached 1K, people are beginning to know who you are. You're within the community. You're beginning to build a solid following. You're going to get the same people coming back, engaging with your content, showing interest. So the difference between getting from 0 to 1K is that you aren't known. 1 to 10K, you are becoming known. So that 1 to 10K is really about building that solid fan base, that solid following, because these are the people that are going to help give you that exponential growth. They're going to share your content. They're going to suggest your content, and that also plays back into the algorithm wanting to share you organically, and this is where you see that snowball beginning to roll. 1 to 10K is going to be more content focused. You want to be giving back to this community that is following you. You want to be making sure that every single post you create is incredibly high quality, because at the end of the day, your content is what people follow you for. That 1 to 10K, you wanted to get known. That's why you were engaging so much. But now you are known. You want the people that are finding you organically to hit that follow button. And if your content isn't up to scratch, they will not click that follow button. So your focus, again, now needs to sort of shift slightly. Obviously, you still need to engage. If you can still keep up this 2 hours a day of engagement, fantastic. You will continue to keep up the momentum and embed yourself even more into the community and build that hype around you. But you also need to now sort of shift that focus towards the quality of your content, because you will start getting more organic reach now, organic page visits. And if your content isn't good enough, you're going to be wasting that organic reach and those organic page visits, because these people won't be wanting to follow you. So shift that focus towards your content now. You had your experimentational phase from 0 to 1K. You found out what works. 1 to 10K, I need you to double down, triple down, quadruple down as much as possible on the content that you found that worked best. It may have been your own personal experiences. It may have been tools. It may have been growth hacks. Any of this stuff that worked really, really well, keep doing it. Take that momentum, carry it on, because that's what's going to really help you reach that exponential phase and see your page take off. If you haven't had that experimentation phase and you haven't found out what works, what doesn't work, you're going to continue to just sometimes produce content that doesn't perform. Yeah, of course, you're going to get content every now and again that does a lot worse than expected. But if you know and you've tried content from 0 to 1K, you're taking out the guessing work from when the quality of your content really matters most, which is that 1 to 10K phase. So we are shifting our focus now. We are shifting to our content quality, and we're building that solid fan base, because your fan base are the people that are going to help you grow exponentially, because they are the ones that will recommend you. They are the ones that will share your content. They are the ones that are going to engage with your content, which is the indicator to the algorithm as to whether your pieces of content are performing well. So then it will decide whether it wants to push your piece of content on the explore page, on hashtags. It will then work out whether it wants to suggest you in the suggested for you tab. But that all comes down to the community you are building, and you won't build a solid community unless the quality of your content is high. So 1 to 10K, that is what you're going to focus on. 0 to 1K, engagement. Experiment with content. 1 to 10K, continue with the engagement, but shift that focus to the quality of your content, because that's going to be what helps you build that strong foundation of your fan base, which is going to help with the algorithm, which is going to help with your organic reach, which is going to help you grow exponentially. It's pretty simple. It's not rocket science. But the most important thing of all is being consistent. You need to be posting 5 to 7 times a week. If you cannot keep up with that consistency, then the algorithm isn't going to like you. Your audience isn't going to like you. They're not going to want to come back if you're only posting once a fortnight or once or twice every week sporadically. They like structure. They're going to want to know when you're posting every single day. They want to know when they come back. And this very early on will help you grow quicker and quicker. There's a direct correlation. The more you post, the more reach you're going to get, because the more you post, the more people are going to be seeing your content. So consistency combined with the quality of your content and the engagement you're putting in will help come together and grow your account to that milestone of 10,000 followers. It's pretty simple when you break it down. And I've probably oversimplified it here, but I don't want to go into too much detail, because this podcast episode could be 2, 3, 4, possibly even 5 hours long. There's so much to talk about, but you've got all of my other podcast episodes to learn all of that stuff that would have been mentioned. So that wraps it up. That is how you go from 0 to 10,000 followers on Instagram. It's how I did it. So hopefully you can replicate the steps that I took, implement them into your own strategy, and do the same thing. But that does wrap up today's video. If you did enjoy and you haven't already, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turned on post notifications. That way you will never miss a video when I post one. But if you did enjoy, I did just want to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School, and the audio version of the podcast is actually the place to be because I post this content a lot sooner over there than I do here on YouTube. So head to the links in the description below and make sure you are subscribing to the audio version of the podcast. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything that I've mentioned, please just reach out to me on Instagram at @themarketingethan, send me a DM and I'll make sure I get back to you no matter what. But if you have made it to this point in the video, I just want to finish off by saying thank you for tuning in and I will see you in the next one.